Well, welcome back to Walking in Spirit and Truth. And it is so good to be back with you all. And I see a bunch of people. I jumped in here just a few minutes ago, saw everybody, well, not everybody, but a whole bunch of people in there chatting and getting ready for the show. It's always good. It's always great to show up and see, wow, look at all these folks in there. So I want to give a shout out to everybody I see in the chat room so far, Al and Luann and Linda and Terry. And who else do we have in there? Did I miss anybody? Okay, scroll through. Okay, Eddie, Tammy. All right, so it's good to see every one of you guys so far. Checking in. Always love it because you guys are my friends and you're my family, and love hanging out with you. And I wish we could just hang out in person, like a lot more often. But here we are. It is what it is, right? So all we have are these streams, but it's all good. Oh boy, do we just have things happening in the world all around us? I'm still blown away. I know you guys, I don't know if you guys are. I'm blown away with all the events that are taking place in the world. That's not what this is about. This is Walking in Spirit and Truth. We've been talking about Enoch and all these different things. We've been on his first parable that started back in chapter 38. And so we've been going through that. We're going to finish up with, well, y'all willing, we'll finish up with that parable today and possibly even get started into the second parable where, what do you mean parable? Well, he goes into the throne room of the Most High and he gets a download. So what an amazing thing. You think about Enoch and his journeys. Kind of. Do you remember that book, Pilgrim's Progress? Pilgrim's Progress. Did you ever read that book? And the pilgrim who is making progress and has all of these different experiences. Well, the experiences are parables, but the author is really very good about making this web design of all these different things, of these places and people that the pilgrim comes in contact with through this course, which is really like the course of life. And but it's about this journey that we're all on. Well, Enoch is on a journey, and you're walking this journey with me as we go through this story. But it's like an adventure, and but there's things that are nuggets in there, and there's elements that of just absolute truths that we can find within the scripture from Genesis to Revelation. And I think that's all pretty cool. By the way, just want to throw a little plug in. Life of Worship Ministries. A lot of you are on our YouTube channel right now. But if you're picking this up in the archives over at Lamb Network, you can always join us at Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel for our Shabbat gatherings. And so we meet at noon on Shabbat Central Time here in Amarillo, Texas. So if you wanted, you could come down and join us live. But if you can't, and you're at some distant location somewhere around, and you want to join us, you can just be part of the chat. Come in. We do our Torah portion at noon. It lasts for a couple hours. Then we have a little hour break as we prepare for the services. And then we have what we call our encounter service. Well, what do you mean encounter service? We encounter each other. Yeah, we do. There's encounters, but not like dating encounters. No, what we really want is an encounter with the Most High. And so after Torah portion, what I love about Torah portion is that so many times there's just downloads and just such nuggets and just like, oh man, oh Father, you're so awesome. All these things that you place in your word and how your word is new every morning. It's like your love is new every morning. And then it's kind of, we're chewing on it when we come into this time where we have praise and worship and time for ministry. But we just take that of all the blessings of those nuggets and the revelation, and we just want to release it back in praise. That's what we want to do. We just want to honor him with it. And we know that the Father wants to love on his people and minister to his people. He doesn't want us walking around all broken and having problems and oppressed by the enemy and sick and all that sort of stuff. So we want to be led by the Spirit. And as the Spirit leads, then we'll have ministry time. Sometimes we just pray. Sometimes, I tell you, there's prophetic words. Sometimes there's uh, uh, the words of knowledge, words of wisdom. There can be all sorts of different things. We don't want to put God. We don't want to put Yah in a box. He's not a Yah in the box. Okay. All right. Just saying. And so that's at 3:00 Central. That's when our service starts. We have the time praise and worship. It's followed by a second stream because we break it into 2 streams. There's a reason for it, and which is a second stream is the message. Sometimes we never get to the message because of what the Father's doing. And we've seen people ministered and touched right here on the streams where they're tuning in their living rooms, in their offices, or wherever they might be watching. And because the Spirit of Yah is not bound by a limitation of a geographic location. All right. Just saying. Okay. So that Shabbat, come join us. Thank you, everybody that's been part of blessing this ministry financially. And I'm going to throw a little banner in there where if you'd like to give, you haven't had an opportunity to give and you'd like to, it's like, wow, I always forget where to go to. I'm going to stick this on here. It's flowing. It's going to stream across the bottom of the screen. You see it right there. www.lifeofworshipamarillo.org. So Amarillo, as in Amarillo, Texas. And you can go to our website and there's a donate button. You just click or tap on that and that'll take you to the site where you can give online. So we really appreciate that. We're working through our bills, and thank you that boy, so many of you all contributed. We made the rent, and then now we got the utilities and those other bills. But that's what we're doing through, and it's all about, we just want to make sure that we have everything we need so that we can have the best presentation possible within the budget that we are working with, and to be good stewards of that so you all can join with us. So that's what that's about. So thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. All right. Enoch. Y'all ready for Enoch? I mean, really, seriously, are you ready for Enoch? I am, because I have to. Do y'all? Okay. Who was with us on our encounter service? I want to say it was a minimum of 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. And it was almost like the Spirit of the Lord, the Spirit of Yah, just like arrested me. And what do you mean arrested? Like totally just dropped this download inside of me. I mean, it was a really heavy, feeling of dread and doom, but it was like a prophetic download, like, oh no, type of like, whoa, something is about to happen. Was anybody joining us? It was during the first part of our encounter service on Shabbat, and it was about 3 to 4 weeks ago. And the Father just dropped it into my spirit. I said, y'all, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel this very, very heavy sense. It's almost like dread, like something huge is about to happen. I don't know if it's going to be in a few days, in a week, a few weeks, a few months, next year. I don't know, but it's really, really big. It's really big. And okay, Linda, you remember that. Okay. All right. So it's just not me, right? Okay. And, I don't, with this thing that happened over the weekend over there in Pennsylvania with the president, former President 45. I don't know if that was it. Or if it's even still much larger than that. I feel like it's even something much larger than that. I've been praying about that and just saying, okay, Father, what's up with that? Was that it? Because it was it's really much bigger than we even think it is. It's so easy with our normative bias, normalcy bias to really just kind of like, oh, whoa. And then we're just like back to business, everyday business again. So anyway, I think about that. I've just been thinking about that a lot. And so it's like, well, anybody can have a feeling of dread, but I don't know. It was different. It was really different than I've experienced before. So I'm still I still have my antennas. My antennas are really up because that was like, honestly, to attack a presidential candidate with that level, after that candidate's gone through impeachments and all sorts of negative press for 8 years, since the first time he was in office, after he was out of office, and then the lawfare, just, I mean, incredible amounts, millions of dollars in legal expenses of trumped up charges. And then it's like none of those they're all falling apart. So the next step was this shot, and by divine intervention, it missed Trump. But sadly, it's like, well, what happened to the divine intervention for the guy that got shot and died, and the two others? I don't have a word for that. I don't have an explanation, and other than that's bad. It's really bad. Okay, I'm sorry. It's really, really weighing heavy on me, and I'm just thinking, and then there was that prophetic word that this guy had, and he said it was that the Father showed me in a dream or something like that the president was speaking on stage, and that he had moved his head, and as a bullet whizzed by him and hit his ear, and had he not moved, he would have died, but it hit his ear. And then as a result, it was so sobering that he gave credit to Yah for saving him, and began to be outspoken about his relationship with Yeshua. So I'm waiting and I'm watching, and just kind of all those things. Doesn't that stuff like capture your attention? Okay. Well, that's enough for that. Maybe this stuff, some of this is just, it ties into what we're going to be talking about today in Enoch. But all right. So enough of that. You see, the more you stay around me, the more you kind of say like, now I don't know how this guy's mind work, or now we understand how this guy's mind work, or it's like, my wife, Sandy, I still keep her on her toes. I do. Right. Okay. Enoch. Okay. We were on chapter 40 last week. Remember what we were talking about in chapter 40, talking about those four angels. And so because Enoch heard the four voices, and he's like, where are these voices? And these four voices were on the four sides of Yah, is Yahweh Sabaoth, because I'm using the Sefer version. So that's how it uses Yah's name, a direct transliteration. And so these are voices, and he gets a closer look, and it happens to be four angelic figures, and each one of them has a role by which they're talking about. And no, Terry, these are old glasses. I've had them for quite a while. Just it's the only size glasses they had for reading glasses at. Okay, never mind. So these four voices are from these angelic figures, and we find out as we read through the chapter that there are four. They have names. One was Michael. One was Raphael. Right, Raphael. The other is Gabriel, and the fourth was Phanuel, and their voices are loud. They're being projected, and then you hear that what's coming out of their mouth is they have a role that they're playing. Each one has a role, and I as I shared last week. So just I don't want to go back over it, but it was kind of like, and I talked about it on Shabbat, so there's no reason to go over it again. But it's like a deliverance team. That's what it was. It's like a deliverance team. So I thought that was really cool. So in chapter 41, that's where we're going to pick up this week. And it says, after this, I beheld the secrets of heaven and paradise, according to its divisions, and of the action of mankind, as they wait it there, in the balance. And we're talking wait, not like waiting, W-A-I-T, but wait it there as in weightiness. So according to its divisions, and of the action of mankind as they wait it there in balances. So mankind, the action of mankind has weight. So the things that you and I do are weighty in the eyes of Yah. So what type of weight are we carrying? Honestly, that's kind of an interesting thought. Why? What are you talking about? Let's look more specifically about that. It says, I saw the habitations of the elect and the habitations of the holy. And there my eyes beheld all the sinners who denied Yahweh of glory, whom they were expelling from there and dragging away as they stood there, no punishment proceeding against them from Yahweh Tsabaoth. There too my eyes beheld the secrets of the lightning and the thunder and the secrets of the winds, and they how they're distributed, as they blow over the earth, the secrets of the winds, of the dew, and of the clouds. There I perceived the place from which they issued forth and became saturated with the dust of the earth. So, okay, so now it's kind of like he sees a little bit of a shift, but I just want to hit on this point here is that, and I do think I talked about this last week, but I thought what was very interesting was the power of the vision. And I just can't imagine that here are all these sinners that denied Yahweh of glory. It's denied him, Yahweh of glory, Yahweh of glory. I mean, think about that. How one of the purposes that we fulfill here on earth is just to give Yah glory. And it carries much weight. And when one is a sinner, then they are not giving any weight to Yah's glory. And then think about the connection about the word glory, which is in the Hebrew is the word kavod, kavod. And kavod is, I mean, one of the translations of the word kavod is liver, right? The liver, you know, everyone has a liver. And why? Because the liver is the weightiest organ in the human body. And so I don't know how much it weighs, but it's the weightiest. And so glory, when you translate kavod into it's this dimensional meaning into English, spiritual language, it is glory. And glory, therefore, you can connect as the weighty presence of Yah, or that when we are giving Yah glory, it can be measured as a weight. So sinners do not give Yah glory, therefore there's no weight to put in the scales, and therefore there's nothing precious that they've been given in offering to Yah. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting, I mean, that's my kind of how I'm kind of weighing it out and looking at it, weighing it out. There's no pun intended. And so, and it's, and because they offer no weight by their expression of their lifestyle, giving Yah glory through that lifestyle, it says that, that they were being expelled and dragged away as they stood there, no punishment proceeding against them from Yahweh Tsabaoth. It's like, man, there's nothing to even, I mean, there's just nothing to do. You have nothing in your life that is given any weight. Yeah. So yeah, Al, good verse. Proverbs 28:5, evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek Adonai understand it fully. Did you ever think that in the scales of justice is the weight of the glory that we give Yah? It's something, I think that's good. You just chew on that for a while. So Terry says the liver weighs about 3 pounds, about the size of a football. That's big. It's big. So, and you never know you're carrying it most of your life, unless there's something wrong with it. Okay. All right. That's about the liver. Going on. And so it's kind of like then he changes directions, and he's looking about the secrets of the lightning and the thunder and the winds and as they're distributed and around the earth and below, the secret of the winds. And then it says, verse 3 of chapter 41, there I saw the wooden receptacles out of which the winds become separated. Now let's keep in mind now, this is part of parable 1. Okay. So there are not wooden receptacles holding wind or hail or snow or clouds or anything like that. And there's not like a big, huge, gigantic angel that pours it out and, here comes the hail and pours it out and here comes the wind. No, it's not like that. It's just, he's given language here to say that the wind, the hail, the snow, the clouds, they continue all over the world, and as if they have this initiation point and then they proceed forward. I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting thing, because I think about back in the medieval ages. Now, I'm not saying that Enoch was in the medieval ages, but it was almost like, because of there must have been such advances in science and technology before the flood, and it was all lost. And then it took another 4,000 years to get to the Middle Ages. And then we start getting into the modern study of science and, and I'm just going to say, the physics, all of the things about physics and all of that fun stuff. Those are all different elements that have been put together, hypothesized, and theorems about it. And so I just wonder what's going through the mind of Enoch. I don't know. All right, let's go on. It says, I beheld also the receptacles of the moon, whence they came, whether they preceded their glorious return, and how one became more splendid than another. I marked their rich progress. Yeah, their unchangeable progress, their disunited and undiminished progress, their observance of a mutual fidelity by a stable oath. The sun goes out first and completes its journey in obedience to the command of Yahweh Sabaoth. Potent is his name forever and ever. So remember what we talked about a few weeks ago? How all of creation follows Torah? Okay. And yeah, Terry, it's kind of interesting. The version is a little bit different. So the Sefer version is a little bit different. And, but it's a receptacle. Just interesting in how the authors the translators, give certain things. But, but think about this. What if the moon or the sun disobeyed Yah and did not stay within its proper path? It disunited from its path. Do you realize what havoc it would cause? So, in other words, if it was disobedient to Torah, to the instructions of Yah, it would create much devastation and death and destruction. And remember, we're talking about parables. Yeah, right, Tammy. Chaos. And yet, so they remain in loyalty in their observance of the Torah. They are stable because they keep the oath. They keep the word. And they complete their journeys in obedience to the command of Yahweh. And so therefore, one, it tells us two things. One, think about how powerful the command of Yah is. I mean, the fact that the sun has its course, the fact that the moon has its course, the fact that there's wind and hail and thunder and lightning and all these different things that proceed forth because of the command of Yah. And if they didn't, there would be chaos. So the power of his word. And then you think about all of other creation that follow his word. And we call it in, what's the word that we use? Instinct. We like to say instinct. It is a dog's instinct to be a faithful friend to its master. It's a like some dogs' instinct is that they are guard dogs and they are protectors. And other dogs in their instinct are hunters or sheep dogs or that type, right? The instinct of an animal for survival and for food and how to track that food. And I mean, you get what I'm saying. So why? Because the instinct is actually more than just instinct. I think that's what we have put on it to say, to figure out why, creation is made that way. But in reality, What it is that they're following the command of Yah, right? What happens when an animal, let's say a dog gets rabies, right? Now they become a threat. And they become a threat to even their owners, the people that love them, and they know that their owners love them. But the effect of that disease as it takes over that animal's mind. I mean, whether it's raccoon or squirrel or whatever. I mean, they become insane. And they start to break Torah, and because they're breaking the word of Yah that's been given in their life. Otherwise, they fulfill all the duties that they've been and all the purposes which Yah has commanded them to do. And then there you inject something in there. There's something external, and it pushes them off course, and they're not fulfilling the purposes for which they're called. And now they become a danger. It creates chaos. So think about you and I. Why are we so susceptible for not following Torah? Right? Why are we pushed off course so easily so that when we're not, I'm saying like we not, maybe we as an individual, you and I as an individual, but humanity, different people, sinners, but even the righteous, if we choose to disobey Torah, whether it's momentarily or for a lifetime, then what type of chaos is that bringing? I mean, is it bringing chaos into our own personal lives? Does it bring chaos into our families and our personal relationships with our spouses and our children, our parents, our grandchildren? I mean, our workplaces. Think about the effect. And we see this because I think, remember, this is a parable. So the parable of watching the courses. Now, it's very important because I think we start getting elements about how we are able to understand elements of seasons and calendars and all that sort of thing because we're watching these celestial bodies. And they have to be true every year. And so when one steps out, maybe it's mind control. Was the shooter actually the shooter, over the weekend? I mean, is that the right thing to question? And was there somebody else in the building right underneath shooting through a window? I don't know. I mean, it's okay. I'm just throwing things out, but nevertheless, these bullets created chaos. Now, Yah can use this for his glory, but a man took a bullet as he was protecting his wife and his daughter, and he died. 2 other people got shot. That's chaos, right, Luann? Sin is like rabies. It's just that it's rabies like when someone through psychological operations, manipulations to get on the rooftop and shoot somebody, or that there's this deep, sinister plan of very highly trained snipers. I don't know, but nevertheless, is their conscience so seared that they don't realize the effect of what they're doing and how it's going to affect a lot of people? Those people that were at that rally that day will be changed forever. Anybody that watched it on television or picked it up on the reruns. I mean, I know exactly where I was when I saw it. And probably always remember, just like on 9/11, I remembered when we saw those explosions in the towers. So remember, this is a parable again, and the purpose then, therefore, maybe it's contained in the rest of this chapter. It says, after this, the path that both concealed and manifested the moon, as well as the progress of its path, and they're completed by day and by night, while each one with another looks towards Yahweh Sabaoth, magnifying and praising without cessation, since praise to them is rest, for in the splendid sun there is frequent conversion to blessing and to malediction. And the course of the moon's path to the righteous is light, but to sinners it's darkness. In the name of Yahweh Sabaoth, who created a division between light and darkness, and the separating the ruachot of men, the spirits of men, strengthened the spirits of the righteous, or the ruachot of the righteous, in the name of his own righteousness. Nor does the angel prevent this, neither is he endowed with the power of preventing it, for the judge beholds them all and judges them all in his own presence. So, okay, that's a mouthful right there, but it did say this. So think about the progress. A lot of times you can bring in the son is like the son of, I don't want to pull upon the pagan view of the son as a god or the son of God. And you have the interchangeable word son, S-O-N, S-U-N. I'm not saying that at all, but let's say this is a representation of Yeshua because it's a parable. Okay. And he brings light to the earth, which brings life to the earth. And that's what Yeshua did, of course. And it talks about the sun and the moon, and they follow these paths, and to them it's rest. Okay, well, wasn't there something that is spoken about over in the book of Hebrews about rest? Let's go over there real quick. Hebrews chapter 2, chapter 3. I always have somebody say, Hebrews what? Hebrews what? Well, let me get there, okay? Let me get there. Hebrews chapter 3, chapter 4, where it says, today, that's chapter 3, verse 15. Well, it said today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as when they provoked me. For who provoked him when they had heard? Indeed, what did they hear? Indeed, did not all those who came out of Egypt, led by Moses? And verse 17, and with whom was he angry for 40 years? Was it not those who sinned, whose bodies fell in the wilderness? And to whom did he swear that they should not enter his rest, but to those who were disobedient? So in other words, they were on a course, but they were disobedient. And so for 40 years, they were disobedient. And so we see that they were not able to enter because of unbelief. Therefore, let us fear lest, that's right. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Going down to 4:1. Therefore, let us fear lest while a promise remains of entering his rest, as any one of you should seem to have come short of it. So what is the rest? That word can mean a dwelling place. It can mean an abode. But it is also the word that's used as Shabbat. And so can you think about this? What is it about the sun and its courses that actually lead us to the days of rest, the Shabbats? And so the sun, he's telling specifically, the sun is he's not striving to perform. The sun's not striving to perform its duties because it's natural for the sun to stay on its course. And so it's natural. It's naturally, and you can draw this in. It is an unnatural thing for us when we're not following Torah. It's unnatural for us. It doesn't feel right, but we don't know that what we're doing doesn't feel right until we enter in and we start following Torah, because now we've stepped out of disobedience into obedience. Now we're no longer sinners, that we find ourselves with no weightiness of glory. Okay? Let's go on a little bit more. So, while a promise remains of entering his rest, any of you, or his entering into his Shabbat. See, they changed it in the English. Because it's directly connected to the Shabbat, about the believer's rest. The believer's rest. Does a believer get any rest on this earth, or does he have to wait until when one is absent from the body to be present with Yah? Is that what we have to do? No, I don't think so. And then entering into his rest, any one of you should seem to have come short of it. For indeed, we have had good news preached to us, just as they also, but the word, the davar, the word, they heard did not profit them because it was not united by faith in those who heard. Well, how do you unite with faith? Well, he's like, the word was preached by Moses, right? And so how do you know that you believe it? You just start doing it. And that's kind of how Torah works, is like, well, I don't get it because I was raised in the Western world, so I don't know why I should wear tzitzits and not eat pig or that type of thing, but and keep the Sabbath as opposed to Sunday or church or the feast days and what holidays we want to keep, and so but uniting it with faith says, well, this is what it says to be kept as a perpetually throughout your generation. So guess we should do it. And that's faith. That's what faith is. That's the faith of Abraham. It was credited to him as righteousness because what he did. I mean, yeah, what he did with his son Isaac, but he followed, he put action to what he heard, that is the word of Yah for his life. And he put action to it. And that's what Yah credits to us as faith. I think then perhaps that as we follow and we do fulfill his word by putting action to his words, then that gives him glory. And that's what brings weightiness into our lives. See how that kind of goes full circle? It goes back around. Let's keep reading on here. But the word they heard did not profit them. This is Hebrews 4:2. Because it was not united by faith in those who heard, verse 3, for we who have believed, enter that Shabbat, enter that rest. Just as he has said, as I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest, or they shall not enter my Shabbat. Or shall we say, may enter into even going into the promised land. Going on, it says, although his works were finished from the foundations of the world, for he has said somewhere concerning the seventh day, or the seventh, and Yah rested on the seventh day from all his works. And again, in this passage, they shall not enter my rest. So now he's like, well, how do you know he's talking about Shabbat? Well, this is why. He's pulling it together for us right there. It's kind of like Peter's version of the animals being brought down on the sheet. And he hears the voice of Yah saying, kill and eat. Well, it's okay. That gives us permission to eat any animal that's not clean, and we can eat. No, because the rest of the story is down a few verses. But I've never eaten anything unclean. And then there's this knock on the door, and Peter understood it wasn't about eating animals. Like, okay, I'm changing my word, because if he changed his word, it create chaos. He didn't change his word based on what we can put in our bellies. He didn't change that. He said, look, you're holding to a doctrine of religion, and it's keeping you separated from people that you have considered unclean. And no, you're not going to go eat those people. No, you're going to go in there and eat with them. You're going to break bread with them. You're going to share the good news with them. And so that's where we get this. And Yah rested on the seventh day from all his work. Well, what's the seventh day? Well, the first day has always been the first day. And the seventh day in our Western calendars in America has always been called Saturday. Don't like using that because of the connotations. It's the seventh day, the Shabbat. However, so many other languages around the world, they call what we call Saturday. They call it Shabbat. Savua, Savot, Sabot, Sabbat, Shabbat. I mean, there's so many names, and it's all related to that same Hebrew word. But we changed it. Yeah. Is that kind of Western civilization changing this on purpose? Just saying. Since, therefore, it remains for some to enter it, and those who formerly had good news preached to them fail to enter. What are they entering? Into the Shabbat, into the rest. And ultimately, it's into the seventh millennial reign of Messiah, which corresponds with the seventh day of the week, which is a Shabbat. You can't get into the seventh millennial which is the millennial reign, which is the Shabbat reign of the Messiah, you don't get there unless you understand how to keep the seventh day. And how do you know that? Well, it's because you begin to practice it. You start to do it. And because it shows that's who you belong to. That's your faith being operated on it. So it's our faith begins to be manifested when we start doing these little things, like the Bible says. And again, verse 7, he again fixes a certain day. Today, saying through David after so long a time, just as has been and said before, today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts. So don't harden your hearts about what day is the Shabbat, because the seventh day has always been the Shabbat. So, for if Joshua had given them rest, he would not have spoken of another day after that. There remains, therefore, a Sabbath rest for the people of Yah. Okay, you can read the rest of it right there. About, verse 11, be diligent to enter that rest. So I think, do you see there's a connection here? So remember what Enoch is telling us is that I'm telling you about this thing that everybody looks up in the sky and they see the sun rise, go across the sky, go down at night. And at certain times, like right now, the moon came up here in Texas around 5 o'clock today. And, earlier, like last week, I saw the moon during the daytime. And as it goes more and more to a full moon, and then the full moon will be at night. It's just kind of interesting how that works. But and what I'm saying is that these patterns have not been changing. And so they're reliable. They tell us a lot of different things. So, and it's very important then, therefore, we get in alignment with what was taught by our forefathers and not allow different people like the Roman Catholic Church or the Orthodox rabbis or who are the descendants of the Pharisees or anything, or the scribes that went in there and changed things within the Masoretic text to set in place and falsehoods and then declare those things as truth. No, we always need to go back and research these things and realize, well, did anything get changed? And will these things be used against us? I don't want these things to be the things that lift the weightiness of the glory of Yah, of our expression to Yah, off the scale by which then we're gathered together with the sinners. I haven't lost anybody on that yet, did I? So now, isn't it interesting, therefore, now when we draw these connections, that how there's this magnifying, praising without cessation. And it's talking about the sun and the moon, they look towards Yahweh Tzabaoth. This is back at Enoch chapter 41, verse 5. Magnifying and praising without cessation, since praise to them is rest, for in the splendid sun there is frequent conversion to blessing and to malediction. The course of the moon's path to the righteous is light, but to sinners it's darkness. It's the name of Yahweh Tzabaoth, who created division between light and darkness, and separating the Ruachot of men, strengthen the Ruachot of the righteous in the name of his own righteousness, nor does the angel prevent this. So think about this. The whole purpose then is it's teaching us a lesson that because of these things that are unchangeable, then let us not be changed because of swayed by the doctrines of men, being tossed to and fro, being double-minded, as it says in the book of James. Let's go there. The book of James, chapter 1, where it says, consider it all joy, my brethren. This is chapter 1, verse 2. When you encounter various trials, because what do the trials do? They're trying to knock us off course, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. It produces strength too. It helps you hold the course. It helps you hold the course. That's why we're challenged. The more resistance you get, the more you dig in to hold the course. Okay. Don't let people sway you to compromise. That's very important. Even among the Hebrew roots people, don't be compromised by the rabbis. Don't be compromised, or recognize that the rabbis may have already had you compromised before you even started, but then you have to audit everything in our faith. Didn't we do that when we're recognize that certain things within Christianity weren't quite right, and we audited our faith, and then we started saying, well, the rabbis give us like kind of a orientation of kind of the Hebraic mind thought, and we start looking that way. But we can be just derailed just as much with the rabbis. We got to watch out what we're doing. And going on, it says, and let endurance have its perfect result, that you may be perfect, right, to mean, and complete. In other words, mature, lacking in nothing. Now, here's the kicker. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of Yah, who gives to all men generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith without any doubting. For the one who doubts is like the surf of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. Think about this. There are no rails in the water, right? But like a train that's on rails, it's holding its course, and of course, unless it's like knocked off its tracks, but it holds its course, and therefore it always gets to its destination. But if you're lack faith, lack wisdom, but let him ask in faith without any doubting. For the one who doubts is like the surf of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man expect that he'll receive anything from Adonai, being a double-minded man, unstable in all his way. Well, how do you get double-minded? Well, it's because you're listening to too many voices. And it's got to be settled within the word of Yah. And we've always have to weigh everything against the word. I mean, absolutely. I mean, even the things I'm talking about tonight, just weigh it against the word. But let the brother of humble circumstances glory in his high position, and let the rich man glory in his humiliation, because like flowering grass, he'll pass away. So it goes on, it kind of talks about that. So things that they derail us. So keep in mind that this is not giving us science about the winds and the hail and all that sort of stuff. There's, you could probably sit down and kind of think, well, what could that be symbolically? I mean, these are all kind of storm events, like wind, snow, not the clouds so much, but hail, and then yet it talks about the moon and the sun, and they're not even affected. They're not affected by the wind or the hail, the storm. The clouds pass. There it is. There's the moon, or there's the sun. They're following the courses, just like it always has been, because they follow Torah. And so the angel that's, in the picture here is making sure that he's not preventing. Did you ever think about that? In terms of, because it was talking about this angelic figure, and that, in other words, they don't get in the way of the word of Yah. So because the instructions have been set, and then because they've been set, the angel is doing his job by not getting in the way, because that would cause confusion or chaos. Maybe like that rabid squirrel. Okay. And it says, for the judge beholds them all and judges them all in his own presence. And then, of course, you know how I love James 4:12, which I'm going to read right now. There is only one lawgiver and judge, the one who is able to save and to destroy. But who are you who judge your neighbor? So, ouch. Because seriously, don't we do that? Yeah, just saying. Uh, Sometimes we really, I mean, I think about it as like, it's so easy to kind of step in that role. And so we have our opinions, and are those opinions kind of pushing the line of being judges over our neighbors? I don't know. We got to be careful. Okay. So just some thoughts. Okay. Chapter 42, short. It's very short. How much time do we have? Oh, we're running out of time. It is so, okay. Wisdom found not a place where she could inhabit. Remember we did talk about in chapter 38 about this word of wisdom. This is the commencement. There's 37, chapter 37, verse 1. This is the commencement of the word of wisdom, which I received to declare to all who dwell on the earth. Hear from the beginning and understand to the end the holy things which I utter in the presence of Yahweh Sabaoth. So wisdom found not a place where she could inhabit. Her dwelling, therefore, is in heaven. Wisdom went forth to dwell among the sons of men, but she obtained not a habitation. Wisdom returned to her place and seated herself in the midst of the angels. But iniquity went forth after her return, who unwillingly found a habitation and resided among them as rain in the desert and as a dew in a thirsty land. That is really, really interesting, because remember what we just read over in James? And you could pull up a lot of different verses on wisdom. You know how wisdom is often like over in Proverbs talks about wisdom is like a woman, and it gives you can draw the parallels of Torah, how Torah is like. But isn't it interesting in James chapter 1 where it said, if anyone lacks wisdom, ask in faith without any doubting. So why do we ask for wisdom? Because wisdom doesn't dwell in the earth. Wisdom comes from above. Because and isn't it? So remember, this is all part of parable number 1. And so you think about that. Is wisdom supernatural? Isn't there, like, you think about the spirits of Yah. Some call it the 7 spirits of Yah, but when you actually count them up, there's 6. And then you see one is Yeshua, but they're all Yeshua. But anyway, that's over in Isaiah. And so it says, wisdom found not a place where she could inhabit, so she dwells in heaven. But guess what dwells on the earth? And it says, iniquity went forth after her return, who unwillingly found a habitation and resided among them, so like mankind, as rain in the desert and as dew in a thirsty land. In other words, why is it that mankind really didn't want wisdom? So wisdom didn't have a place to reside. So wisdom returns to the place where the angels are. And yet iniquity didn't want to come and live in the earth. But it had such a reception. It was so abundant. It was like rain in the desert and dew in a thirsty area. So think about that. I mean, iniquity, it's everywhere, right? Because mankind doesn't want to keep Torah. Mankind doesn't want to keep the instructions of Yah. You know, what is sin? Failure to keep Torah. That's what 1 John says. That defines sin. Not keeping Torah. That's what sin is. And so out of that comes iniquity. Iniquity, just like, I don't want to be here. But it's like there's lots of room. And so you think about, what about all this iniquity on the earth today and all the sin that's in the earth today? And there's people that constantly dwell in it, and they'll never carry the glory of Yah. And therefore they carry no weight. And because iniquity has a home. But if we lock iniquity out, and then we invite wisdom in, wow, now we're talking about real shifts and real changes, and changes within us personally, in our families, in our congregations, in our communities, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's kind of an interesting little twist and concept that given a personality to wisdom, like a characterizing as if it's almost like has its own personage, and as well as iniquity. I beheld another splendor, chapter 43, and the stars of heaven I observed. He called them all by their respective names, and they heard. In a righteous balance, I saw that he weighed out with their light the amplitude of their places and the day of their appearance and their conversion. Splendor produced splendor, and their conversion was into the number of the angels and of the faithful. Then I inquired of the angel who proceeded with me and explained to me secret things, what their names were. He answered, a similitude of those has Yahweh Sabaoth shown you. They are the names of the righteous who dwell upon the earth, who believe in the name of Yahweh Sabaoth forever and ever. So think about that. So you get another part of the parable is the fact that they're, in this vision, in this parable, they're like these shining lights, shining stars, whatever you want to call them, but it's like you and I carrying light. So that's where I want to be. We're out of time. Hey, sure appreciate y'all being part today, and always love our time together on Tuesdays. Like, share, subscribe, get the word out. Let your friends, family know. Send them, put it in an email. Say, hey, check this guy out on and about the Book of Enoch. If you want to know, follow from the beginning. I have it all on the Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel under its own separate playlist. Well, shalom, shalom, and until next time, I love being with you. Look forward to it again. Bye.
If you missed today's show or want to watch it again or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv where you will find this show and all the other live Lamb show archives in the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell someone about the Messianic Lamb Network. We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussions, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the lambnetwork.tv website. I'm Sandy Craig, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.